There are many readers in the world who know the writer Asli Perker, but not everyone has the opportunity to communicate with the lecturer Asli Perker. This opportunity has been granted to Armenian and Turkish writers. Write in Armenia is one of the most successful projects implemented by the ARI Literature Foundation. The Write in Armenia Creative Writing International Camp united Armenian and Turkish writers around one goal: to get closer to the literary world and raise their professional level. The Power of the Cultural Diplomacy, Literature Without Borders, is the title of the international camp held in the framework of the ARI Literature Foundation's project funded by the Eurasia Partnership Foundation with the financial assistance of the European Union.
At some point, I get really upset.
Lectures, readings, group discussions. The agenda was full, and the educational components due to the participation of numerous tutors and invited lecturers was rich. The alumni of the previous issues of Write in Armenia project were already recording success stories, with debut works, awards, and new perspectives.
We had around 3 sessions. Before, first 2 were like smaller, only 2 countries involved, and the last session was in 2018 with 5 countries involved. Usually we do our camp in Armenia. Like last time in 2018, we selected a very nice place in one of the regions of Armenia, and we had 5 countries involved: Armenia, Turkey, Georgia, Ukraine, and Russia. So it was something like a peace camp with involvement of countries in conflict. But this was like this was of second importance to us, because the main aim of our camp is the creative writing and communication between writers from different countries.
The lecturers during the camp for the Armenian Turkish young writers were Asli Perker and Armen Ohanyan. A huge amount of new knowledge, skills, and acquaintances to be passed during the Write in Armenia project were equally divided into 12 sessions. Each session brought the participants one step closer to the goal they wanted to achieve. The first and most important lesson from Asli Perker is that any idea and concept cannot be trivial.
At some point, you're gonna think this is too easy. Like, this must have been done. Somebody must have written about this. But nothing you actually think is simple. It's the way you write about it. And sometimes, really, even if it's simple, you're the first person to notice that. So keep that in mind always. Don't think anything is just too simple. Any idea. I don't think any idea is simple anyway.
When you realize there are no trivial stories, it is time to create characters who will be your voice and images that will convey the message of the literary work that will reach the reader. Throughout the program, Armen Ohanyan kept reminding the participants about this golden rule.
Usually, 99% of this information is not going to be used in your actual writing. But why you are doing this, simply because this person should become a real one for you, first of all. Then she will be a real one for your reader also.
But how to create these characters? How to be careful and scrupulously build their personalities and value systems? Armen Ohanyan's next message is clear and pivotal. The prototypes are important, but characters without spice fail.
Why are we using these archetypes? Why can they be useful for us, for writers? The archetypes are like ready-mades. This is like a frozen food that we are buying from supermarket, putting in microwave and getting, our character, because it's already done, We know the weakness, etc., etc. But it's not tasty. It's not interesting. That's why, archetypes can be useful, but we should individualize.
While facing challenges and overcoming them, the writer's ability to think and write outside the box becomes very important. For example, what if the writer attributes certain qualities not to a person, but to a city?
Even in this case, you should give to that city some, human creatures. So to make it metaphorically, let's say, not a metaphorical evil something, but to make somehow the city behave as a human creature or a demon or something like that, But again, this opponent, even if it's a city, it should behave as a human. So it should have some kind of, character and behavior and system of values, etc., which is possible to do. Some great authors do that. I mean, they describe cities as characters. For example, Dublin is a character in James Joyce's writing.
The next golden rule is to be informed. The writer must be able to combine emotions and argumentation.
If you're writing a poem about, let's say, or a short story about the sea, then you should really do some research about the sea. Because for one, it will inspire you. And two, then the piece will be stronger. It will be stronger, and then nobody can ask you questions about it. That's also very important.
The participants of the course got acquainted with all of these rules through practical work based on their own texts. Through these practical exercises during the training, they were developing and improving creative thinking, and as homework, they were tasked to refine their literary works and apply that acquired knowledge. In short, this was an effective combination of practical and theoretical sessions. Through these lessons, the young writers learned that once you have done the necessary research, have a clear topic, and have built characters, it is time to think about the conflict.
To have a story, you have to have a clash. I'm sure you have heard about this, right? You must have. There has to be a clash. Clash between two people. Clash between mom and daughter. Clash between father and son. Most of the books are on that, actually. Clash between two countries, which becomes a book. So it's all about a clash.
Perhaps the most important part of the work is what message is conveyed and through which prism of values will they discuss these imagined situations.
Sometimes we call it Asli in Armenian, or sometimes we call it moral of the story, or the central statement of the story, etc. But I would recommend you to use this moral argument, because it's in reality, it's argument. It's your very personal vision of the world, and for your vision how properly to behave in this world, because your characters are going to do, bad things and good things, bad actions and good actions, and you are looking at these actions from a certain system of value, or for a certain morality, let's say, ethics, and then you are the one who are showing the reader, is this a moral action or immoral action? Okay, so your vision, your moral vision of how we should properly behave in the world is somehow there.
Throughout the course, the participants kept repeating that the Write in Armenia project was a unique opportunity that helped them realize their potential, overcome anxieties, and learn through the process, starting from learning how to write a text to exchanging opinions.
I have never had the courage to write what was coming out of my mind. I was only reading what others wrote. So thanks to this program, I had learned how to write and how to be brave. Our tutors, Asli and Armen, helped us a lot about it. Asli always told us how to be brave, how not to be scared of writing anything that was ours. And Armen taught us how to write what was coming out of our minds. So I am very happy that I have joined to this program and met these perfect tutors and other students.
Even being separated by a screen, the participants felt and transferred the warmth of all the support they had throughout the creative process.
It was a bias for me, and it was always a barrier for me to share my work with anyone. But I am very happy to receive feedback from both participants and instructors in this program, because they are giving very helpful feedback, and they are really motivating me to going a step further, and I felt like I was in the right place.
Words of thanks are not just for professional achievements. The participants were happy to have the opportunity to get to know each other, to listen, to find common ground, and to discuss differences.
Always trying to find some kind of project or initiatives that would help me to master my creative writing skills, to hear opinions. And when I saw this project, and also I noticed that we will have Turkish participants, I thought that it would be a perfect fit for me because I really wanted to connect with them, to see different opinions also from cultural background. And when from the first day, from our first meeting, when I finished our class, I was so inspired and also empowered because people were very kindly, all participants were very kind and supportive and very open-minded to share their feedback, and I felt that I am in this perfect atmosphere to create, to write my stories and try to present it.
This was a unique opportunity for young Armenian and Turkish writers to rediscover each other and to get to know the country and the people beyond the politics.
Specificity or the significance of this program, Write in Armenia program, is I never engaged with other writers and people who are trying to be writers, like people are engaged in writing that much. So I wanted to be in an environment that I can talk with people about their works and about how we can write stuff because I don't have a circle like that, and that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to join. And secondly, I think today our lives and our thoughts are pretty much shaped by current politics so much that most of the time we disregard what we may share with other people around the world, and the relationship between Turkey and Armenia is pretty much like that.
The Write in Armenia project included not only 12 rich and intense sessions, but also a chance to meet seasoned professionals. Armed with new knowledge and skills, the young writers had the opportunity to listen to masterclasses by other professionals as well. Exclusively for this special project, Kristine Sargsyan answered the questions of young writers and presented her journey. Why did Kristine, who was not a writer, decide to write a book from scratch that is actively discussed today by Armenian readers?
I've never thought of becoming a writer. It has nothing to do with me. I mean, in general, I think that's something that just happened because I was very much concerned with the youth in our society. And I have to say youth had a larger meaning of it, not only in Armenia, everywhere. Because we have, I think we have thrown our kids into this ocean of the craziness that is happening, the mix of the tech and changes and all kinds of COVIDs and wars and political manipulations and so on and so forth. And we've never been ever responsible enough to educate our youngsters about our brain and in general what kind of game is playing in our life and how it can mess up our life if we don't know how it's working.
Kristine Sargsyan knows from her own experience what it means to doubt and what it means to be disappointed. But she assured the young writers that the mission should always be above all fears.
If I do not pass this chunk of knowledge that changed and transformed my life to youngsters, that would be something that I'll be very upset about. And I was like, okay, well, let's understand that this has been my own journey of understanding my own brain. And I don't want to ask permission from anyone for understanding my own brain. I have studied enough and I learned enough.
The young writers had the opportunity to find out the answer to the most frequently asked question: when do people prefer to read a book, and in what cases do they prefer to watch a film? Aron Avetisyan discussed the topic with the young writers.
Some of the filmmakers try to follow the letter of the literary of the work of literature, considering the successful screenplay, successful script, that the one that follows the literary text directly, and others on the opposite, on the contrary, think that the world that and the universe that the writer has already created already exists, and the direct interpretation and reflection of that universe, of that world, makes the film itself a secondary. And in this sense, the film must do its best, must strive to become as original, to become as self-sufficient as the literature source, as the source of literature. And in any case, history shows that these both approaches are equally successful.
And finally, is the film an organic continuation of the book or a separate organism?
I think that it's impossible for the translation to be a better, but our aim should be that in a sense of cinema, for a translation, in this case for adaptation, to be something else, but not just duplicating the word that we already felt created, felt on the pages of the writer. So in one sense it should follow, so translation is a thing that follows the original source, but it has no chance to be better, but has a chance to be something else.
The last meeting in this series was the presentation and discussion about the literary basis of translations. Aron shared the most interesting examples of his rich experience with the participants.
Translation and creative writing are very, very related, especially literary translation, of course. We understand translation in a very, very functional way in society, especially because we use them for international relations, for business, for technical or legal writing, or to interpret, in environments where we have second language speakers or non-speakers of the, standard or national languages. And so there is always a sense of urgency coupled with a sense of accuracy, right? We have to be very faithful to what we translate. Quite of course, literary translation is just as interested in these matters. But the texts that we translate, of course, are themselves literary, and therefore they include the kinds of characteristics of literary texts, such as ambiguity, metaphoric language, tone.
Methods of working with the existing text, comprehension techniques, and developing new text also became real guidelines for these young writers.
What we do is we train ourselves quite deeply in reading literature and how to understand the way a text is put together to produce certain effects, such as meaning, as well as emotion, emotional reaction, so on and so forth.
The intense program was summarized in a familiar environment with words of gratitude and the most important tips in mind.
I think Asli's advice is stuck in my head, and it helped me so much, which is write first with your heart, and then write it once more with your brain, because you're going to edit a lot of stuff. Because before that, I kind of had this, stereotype in me that it should be just brain, maybe, that if you are going to succeed or have a good piece, you need to think it very thoroughly, every piece. But it's just kind of blocking your creativity as a writer. So when Asli said it, I don't know, it meant a lot for me, because I felt like, okay, I can write it by my heart, however I feel it, and then I can think of some details or changing it or adding some tweaks into the story, because before that it was so like stressful for me. And I think the next thing is a huge confidence, because I was self-doubting till this last point when I was writing, doubting my writing. And throughout the classes, when we were giving each other feedback, it helped me.
The young writers had already started to apply their experience and the knowledge gained in the framework of the project. At the end of the project was exactly the time to consolidate what they had learned to create literary works on a new solid basis.
What I found very helpful is that when we were doing like little practices with Asli, I think she really helped me to follow a story or create some character and follow him or her through the story. Now, after all these 12 sessions, we did a lot of them. In my final piece, I kind of used it, I used some, some instance, like some 1 second thing happened in my life. And then I imagined, and it really, this is maybe what the creative writing is about, boosting your imagination at the same time. I used it and I kind of turned it into a concept in my mind, and then I incorporated it into the writing. I hope it is understood, you read it. And I also always remember when Armen Ohanyan was he was talking about a lot of things, and he was always saying, I know this is a lot and I know it's really hard to keep all this in mind, but I always remember that he says you should know about your characters, you should imagine them, you should know everything about them. And sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. Then I started to consciously think about my characters, and I think it helped a lot.
In conclusion, Asli Perker assured her young colleagues that creative work requires discipline and that education is key to staying on the right track.
First of all, I knew from school that there were rules. But what do you mean rules? When you're writing something, of course, there aren't any rules. You write it from the heart. But also there is a frame. There has to be a frame so that you can stay in and then collect everything you think and then, just put it into writing. So classes actually taught me that. It gave me an idea of how to put things together, and semiotics helped me a lot for teaching me. I'm using a word, and that word, I think we worked on this in the class. No word is used in vain. I use every word knowing I'm using it and for what.
The program ended with anticipation of future meetings accompanied with the best creative wishes. The experience of the previous years shows that meetings will definitely take place and that success stories of young writers will once again prove the success of the Write in Armenia project.